Morning. So you can start where we left the last time, from there only.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Once outside, he felt inclined. Okay, start.
Once outside, he felt inclined to laugh and said to himself, "The fool! Oh, the fool! Had I only taken him at his word!" That jeweler cannot distinguish real diamonds from the imitation article. A few minutes after, he entered another store in the Rue de la Pikes. As soon
Rue
as
de la
the
Paix. Yes, it is the name of the street. Okay.
Okay, sir. As soon as the proprietor,
Proprietor. Yes.
as soon as the proprietor glanced at the necklace, he cried out, "Ah, I know it well. It was bought here." Monsieur Latin,
Monsieur Lantin.
Monsieur Lantin, greatly disturbed, asked, "How much is it worth?" "Well, I sold it for 20,000 francs. I am willing to take it back for 18,000 when you inform me, according to your legal formality, how it came to be in your possession."
Okay,
This
stop.
time,
Stop. So now once Mr. Lantin is out of the shop and the shopkeeper has told him that the cost of this necklace is 15,000 francs. So Mr. Lantin just cannot gather what has just happened. So he came out of the shop laughing that this jeweler is such a fool. Being a jeweler also, he is not able to understand that whether the jewelry is real or fake. So the jeweler is not able to understand that it is fake jewelry and he's considering that this jewelry to be real, and he's giving me 15,000 francs for this worthless article. So naturally, Mr. Lantin is laughing. Then a few minutes later, he goes into another store to check out whether this jewelry is real or not. He is checking out for himself. So now as soon as the proprietor glanced at the necklace, so here proprietor is the shop owner. Proprietor means the owner of a business or a shop. Okay. So here the shop owner glanced at the necklace and cried out, "Ah, I know it well. It was bought here." So now it turns out that this necklace what was brought from this shop only. So the shopkeeper is saying that I know it very well. It was bought from my shop only. Monsieur Lantin was greatly disturbed by this. So now he is asking, how much is it worth? So now he is also checking over here that how much does it cost? Because the earlier shopkeeper told him that it was of 15,000 francs. So the shopkeeper is saying, well, I sold it for 20,000 francs. So now the shopkeeper is telling that he sold this piece of jewelry for 20,000 francs. And I am interested to take it back for 18,000. So now he is saying that I sold it for 20,000 and I will take it back from you for 18,000. When you inform me according to a legal formality how it came to be in your possession. So now the shopkeeper is saying that we have a legal formality that whenever we buy stuff from any person, then we know about the possession that the person has, that how he got that possession, right? Because it should not be a case of stealing, that you have stolen this necklace from somewhere and you have come over here to sell it. So you will have to tell me how you got into the possession of this necklace. Then I will buy it for 18,000 francs. All right. Pranjal Yadav. Now you can read.
Good morning, teacher.
Good morning.
This time Monsieur Lantin was dumbfounded. He replied, but examining it well, until this moment I was under the impression that
Yes,
it
imitation.
is
Yes, it was
it
imitation.
was imitation.
Yes.
The jeweler asked, "What is your name, sir?" "Lantin. I am in the employ of Ministry of the Interior. I live at the number 16 Rio de
Rudy
Martyr,
Martyrs. Yes, this is the name of the
Rudy
street
Martyr,
where he lives.
Rudy
Lantin.
Martyr."
Yes.
The merchant looked through his book, found the entry, and said, "The necklace was
That
sent to
necklace.
Ma-
Yes.
that necklace was sent to Madame Lantin's address, 16 Rio de
Rudy
Martyrs,
Martyrs.
July
Yes.
Rudy Martyrs, July 20, 1876.
Okay,
The
stop
two
here.
men looked.
Stop here. So now this time when this shopkeeper, this proprietor is also telling Mr. Lantin that this jewelry is real and he will buy it from him for 18,000 francs, which is even higher sum than what the previous shopkeeper offered him, right? He offered him to buy it at 15,000 francs. And now this shopkeeper is saying that he will buy it for 18,000 and he has sold this piece of jewelry earlier. So now it has made Monsieur Lantin dumbfounded. Dumbfounded means that he has become speechless. He cannot speak anything. So now Mr. Lantin is saying, but examine it well. So he is saying that please check it well, because until this moment I was under the impression that it was imitation. So Mr. Lantin is being honest over here. He is saying that till now I was thinking that this piece of jewelry is imitation. So you check it well. So the jeweler asked, "What is your name, sir?" So now Mr. Lantin is telling all about himself. He is saying, "My name is Lantin and I am an employee in the Ministry of Interior." And he is also telling him his address, that I live at number 16 Rue des Martyrs. So he's telling the street and his house number, his address, and he is also telling where he works and what is his name. So now the merchant looked through his books. It means that the record that the merchant has, that which article he sold to whom, the receipts he has. So now he is checking through those records and said that necklace was sent to Madame Lantin's address. So Madame Lantin here means the wife of Mr. Lantin. So the merchant is saying that necklace was sold to your wife. 16 Rue des Martyrs, July 20, 1876. So this is the date on which the piece of necklace, the jewelry, was sold. Okay. Now, Sahaj Gupta, read further.
The two men looked into each other's eye. The widowers, speechless with astonishment,
It's astonishment.
astonishment. The jeweler scenting a
Scenting a
thief.
thief. Yes.
The latter broke the silence. Will you leave the necklace here for 24 hours? He said. I will give you a receipt. Uh,
Receipt. Receipt.
receipt. Monsieur Landon answered hastily. Yes, certainly. Then, putting the ticket in his pocket, he left the store.
Okay.
He
Stop.
wondered.
You stop. No. Yes. So now, after the shopkeeper told that it was sold to Madame Lantin and he gives the address and the date. So now the two men are looking into each other's eyes. Now, naturally, Mr. Lantin is speechless, that the record shows that it was sold to his wife and the date and the address of Mr. Lantin is all there in his record. So Mr. Lanton is speechless and astonished. Okay, astonished means he is in a state of shock and surprise. All right. But the jeweler is scenting a thief. He is doubting that this person is a thief. Why? Because if the wife of any person buys such an expensive article, such expensive jewelry, then naturally the husband knows about it, that my wife has brought such and such thing. But here Mr. Lanton is not having any idea. He is saying that this is imitation jewelry, you check it. So now the shopkeeper is doubting that maybe this person is a thief and he is just trying to take the name of Mr. Lanton and trying to sell off a stolen article. So he is doubting Mr. Lanton to be a thief. The latter broke the silence. Latter over here means the jeweler. So now he is speaking something. He is saying, will you leave this necklace here for 24 hours? Why he is taking the necklace for 24 hours? Because he wants to make some enquiries. Maybe he will check with the local police station or somewhere. He will do enquiries whether this necklace is stolen or not. All right. So, and he is saying that if you leave this necklace here for 24 hours, I will give you a receipt for that. So Mr. Lanton answered in a haste manner, hurriedly, that yes, certainly, I will leave it with you. And he took the receipt and left the store. Okay, Shreya, you read now.
Yes, sir. He wandered aimlessly through the streets, his mind in a state of dreadful confusion. He tried to reason to understand his wife could not afford to purchase
Such a
costly
costly
ornament,
ornament. Yes.
such a costly ornament, certainly not. But then it must have been a present, a present, a present. From whom? Why was give why was given to her?
Why
He
was it
stopped.
given to her? Okay, you stop here. So now Mr. Lanton, because such events are going on in his life, so now he doesn't know where to go. So his mind is in a state of so much confusion that now he is just wandering aimlessly, just roaming around on the streets. Okay, because his mind is in a state of dreadful confusion. Dreadful means fearful. Some fear is in his mind, and he is trying to reason to understand that what all is happening. His wife could not afford to purchase such a costly ornament because he is thinking that I have such modest means, my salary was so little. So how can my wife afford to purchase such an expensive jewelry? So he is very confused. And he is saying, certainly not. She cannot afford to purchase such expensive jewelry. Then he is thinking, but then it must have been a present. That's how she must have got that piece of necklace, right? So a present from whom? So now he is thinking that I have not given present to my wife, and the mother of Mr. Lanton's wife was also having moderate means. She was also not very rich. So who can give such an expensive present? Why was it given to her? And why will someone give such an expensive gift to someone? Yes. So all these fearful confusion was occurring in Mr. Lanton's mind. I am. Read.
He stopped and remained standing in the middle of the street. A horrible doubt entered his mind.
No. Read
Then
from he stopped and remained standing.
he stopped and remained standing in the middle of the street. A horrible doubt entered his mind. She
She,
then
yes, a
all
question mark.
the then all the other jewels must have been presents too. The earth seemed to be tremble
Trembling
beneath
beneath him. Yes.
him. The tree before him seemed to be falling. He threw up his arms and fell to the ground, unconscious. he recovered his senses in a
Senses in
pharmacy,
a pharmacy. Yes.
into the which the passers-by had taken him to. He asked to be taken
Taken
home,
home. Yes.
and when he reached the house, he shut himself up in his room and wept until nightfall and fell into a heavy sleep.
Okay. Stop. So now, just when he is thinking about who can give a present and all, he suddenly, while roaming on the street, he stopped and remained standing in the middle of the street because a horrible doubt entered in his mind. She. So now he's getting the idea that such expensive jewelry could only be given by someone with whom his wife might have been having an affair. Okay. So now he's doubting his wife that his wife was cheating on him and having an affair. Then he is thinking, then all the other jewels must have been presents too. So he is thinking that the same person who gave this necklace to her, I think that the same person must have given all the other jewels too to his wife because she was having an affair with him. So this came as a big shock to Mr. Langton. The earth seemed to tremble beneath him. So here it means that the earth seemed to shake, means he was losing his balance. He was fainting because of the shock he got. The tree before him seemed to be falling. So actually the tree was not falling, but Mr. Langton was falling to the ground. He threw up his arms and fell to the ground unconscious. So naturally, Mr. Langton fell to the ground and became unconscious because of the shock he received that his wife was cheating with him. He recovered his senses in a pharmacy into which passers-by had taken him to. So now he opened his eyes in a clinic where the passers-by took him to. There he asked the people to take him home, and when he reached his house, he shut himself in a room and wept. So he got into a room and then he started crying because he was very shocked to learn that his wife was cheating on him and his wife was having an affair because he loved his wife so much. And now when he realizes that she was cheating and was disloyal, so he started weeping until nightfall. So night came. Up till night, he kept on crying and fell into a heavy sleep. All right. Tanisha, you want to read?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The
start.
sun awoke the next morning and he began to dress slowly to go to the office. It was hard to work after such shocks. He sent a letter to his employer requesting to be
Excused.
Then he remembered that he had to return to the jewelers. He did not like the idea but could not leave the necklace with that man. He dressed went out. It was a lovely day. A clear blue sky smiled on the busy city below. Men of leisure were strolling about with their hands in their pockets.
Okay, stop.
Moiselle.
Okay, stop. So now the writer is telling us that he woke the next morning when the sun came out and he began to dress slowly because he was in a very sad mood, right? So he began to dress slowly to go to the office. It was hard to work after such shocks. So since he was getting so many shocks that it was very hard for him to go to the office and work the entire day. So he sent a letter to his employer requesting him to be excused. To be excused means he was asking for a leave, that please give me a leave for some time. So he sent a letter to his employer. Then he remembered that he had to return to the jewelers. Now he is also remembering that he has left the necklace at the jewelry shop. So he has to go and collect it. He did not like the idea. Why he is not liking the idea? Because the shopkeeper was suspecting him to be a thief. So Mr. Lanton naturally was very ashamed of it. So he was not liking this idea, but he could not leave the necklace with that man. But yes, since now he knows that it is a very expensive article, so he cannot leave the necklace also with the shopkeeper. So he dressed and went out. It was a lovely day. A clear blue sky smiled on the city below, busy city below. So it was a lovely day. The sun was out and all, and men of leisure. Now, men of leisure are those people who do not need to earn any living. So they have so much money they have that they can live in luxury. They just stroll about, buy things, enjoy life. All right. So men of leisure were strolling about with their hands in their pockets. So the author is trying to show that they were just casually roaming around, keeping their hands in their pockets. So now, okay. So Vigisha, you want to read further?
Monsieur Latin, observing them, said to himself, "The rich indeed are happy. With money, it is possible to forget even the deepest sorrow. One can go where one pleases, and in travel find that distraction which is the surest cure or grief. Oh, if I were only rich." He perceived that he was hungry, but his pocket was empty. He again remembered the necklace, 18,000 francs. 18,000 francs. What is some? He soon
Stop there.
arrived.
Stop there. Okay. So now Monsieur Lanton is observing that men of leisure are strolling about with their hands in their pockets. So now he is saying that the rich indeed are happy. So he's saying that the rich people are always happy. With money, it is possible to forget even the deepest of sorrow. So he's saying that no matter how much sorrow you have, but if you have money, then you will forget everything. One can go where one pleases. So Mr. Lanton is saying that if I want to go on a holiday, I want to travel around, see other places, then one can go where one pleases, and in travel find that distraction which is the surest cure for grief. So now Mr. Lanton is saying that since he is grieving for a long time for his dead wife, and with the passage of time also, he cannot calm down his sadness, his grief, his sorrow. So he's saying that if only I had some money, I would travel around, see new places, meet new people, experience new things. And so my thoughts will get diverted, distracted, and they will cure me of my grief, right? So Mr. Lanton is thinking, oh, if I were only rich, if I were rich, then I would have traveled and I would have cured my grief easily. Then he perceived means he noticed, he realized that he was hungry because he was not having anything in his pocket. So he's not eaten. He again remembered the necklace. So now as soon as he remembered that he's hungry, so he again remembers the necklace because the necklace was worth 18,000 francs. 18,000 francs. What a sum. So these exclamation marks are showing to us that 18,000 francs was a huge sum for Mr. Lanton because he was a man with very modest means. So he had very little money and right now he was having nothing in his pocket. So 18,000 francs was a huge sum of money if he got that. So Pratishtha, you read ahead further.
He soon arrived in the Rue de la Paix.
Rue de la Paix. Yeah. So
Rue de
yes,
la
it's
Paix.
the name of the street. Yes.
Opposite the jewelers, 18,000 francs. 20 times he decided to go in, but shame kept him back. He was hungry, however, very hungry, and not a cent in his pocket. He decided quickly, ran across the street in order not to have time for reflection, and rushed into the store. The
Proprietor.
proprietor immediately came forward and politely offered him a chair.
Okay,
I
stop.
have made inquiries.
Stop there. So now Mr. Lanton has arrived opposite the jeweler shop and he's standing opposite to the shop. But and still he's wondering 18,000 francs. That is a huge sum of money. But 20 times he decided to go in, but shame kept him back. So he decided 20 times that I should go in, but shame is keeping him back. Why? Because the shopkeeper was making enquiries. He was suspicious that Mr. Lanton is a thief. So he is having a bit of a shame and is not able to enter the shop. But he was hungry also and was not having any cent in his pocket. So he had to somehow go in. So he decided that he will run quickly across the street so that he will not have time to think and reflect. So that's what he did. He decided quickly, ran across the street in order not to have time for reflection, and rushed into the store at once. So now, Mayank Pint, you read further now.
I have made inquiries, Monsieur Lantin, said the jeweler. And if you're
Monsieur
still,
said the jeweler.
Monsieur Lantin, said the jeweler, and if you are still resolved to dispose of the gems, I am ready to pay you the price I offered. Certainly, sir, stammered Monsieur Lantin, whereupon the proprietor took from a drawer
proprietor,
18
whereupon the proprietor
took from a drawer 18 large bills, counted and handed them to Monsieur Lantin, who signed a receipt and with trembling hand put the money into his pocket. As he was about to leave the store, he turned toward the merchant, who still wore the same knowing smile, and lowering his eyes said, I have other gems which came from the same source. Will you buy them also? The merchant bowed, certainly, sir.
Okay, stop. So now, when Mr. Lanton entered into the store, the proprietor offered him to sit. He offered a chair. And then he said, I have made enquiries. So what are these enquiries? That whether the jewelry is stolen or not. So he's saying that I have made the enquiries and he found that it was not stolen. So now he is saying that if you are still resolved to dispose of the gems, so dispose here means to sell. So he's saying that if you are still planning to sell your jewelry, then I am ready to pay you the price I offered. And what is the price that he offered? It was 18,000 francs. Certainly, sir, stammered Monsieur Lanton. So Lanton is saying that certainly, sir, I am planning to sell it. Stammered here means that he was a bit hesitant, and naturally he was a bit ashamed, a bit shocked. So he was talking in a stammered voice. Whereupon the proprietor took from a drawer 18 large bills. So large bills here means currency notes, and large here means because each bill was of 1,000 francs. All right. So it was a big currency note, and he gave him 18 large bills, means 18,000 francs, counted and handed them to Monsieur Lanton, who signed a receipt. So when you buy something from a shop or sell something, you get a receipt for it. So he gave 18,000 francs to Monsieur Lanton, who in turn signed a receipt and with trembling hand put the money in his pocket. So why his trembling hand means his hands were shaking. All right. And why his hands were shaking? Because he had not seen such a large amount of money at one time. And here he was receiving 18,000 francs at one go, and he was receiving them in his hand. So his hands were shaking a bit. They were trembling. Okay. So as he was about to leave the store, he turned towards the merchant. So now when he was leaving, he is asking the merchant by lowering his eyes that I have other gems which came from the same source. Now this phrase which came from the same source means that they were also bought from here and they were bought by my wife. Yes, because that's what the jeweler told him, that he sold all these to Madame Lantin. So he is telling him beforehand that they all have been bought by my wife and they come from the same source. And so the shopkeeper should not suspect him to be a thief. Will you buy them also? The merchant bowed. Certainly, sir. So the merchant is saying that certainly I will buy all of them. Now, who is going to read? Om Kesarwani, you want to read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, read.
Monsieur Latin said gravely, I will bring them to you. An hour later, he returned with the gems. The large diamond earrings were worth 20,000 francs. The bracelet, 35,000 francs. The rings, 16,000. A set of emeralds and
Emeralds
sapphires,
and sapphires. Yes.
and
40,000.
14,000 francs.
Yes.
A gold chain with solitaire pendant, 40,000,
Solitaire.
making the
Yes.
sum of 140,000 for 43,000 francs. The jeweler remarked jokingly, there was a person who invested all her savings in precious stones. Monsieur Latin replied
Monsieur Lantin
seriously,
replied. Yes.
it is only another way of investing one money.
Okay, stop
That
there.
day,
Stop there. So Monsieur Lantin now is speaking in a serious tone that I will bring all those gems to you so that you can buy them. An hour later, he returned with the gems. So he returned to the shop again with all the gems that he could find in his house. So now here the author is providing us with all the details of the gems that he collected at his house and the cost that he received for all these gems. The large diamond earrings were worth 20,000 francs. The bracelet, 30,000. The rings, 16,000. A set of emeralds and sapphires. So emeralds and sapphires are precious stones that are used in the making of jewelry. All right. So these are very costly and precious stones. Then a gold chain with a solitaire pendant. So solitaire is again a precious gemstone. All right. So a gold chain had this pendant attached to it and it cost 40,000, making the total sum to be 143,000 francs. So just imagine how much money Mr. Lantin received after selling all these gems. 143,000 francs. So now the jeweler is jokingly saying that there was a person who invested all her savings in precious stones. So now the jeweler is saying that the wife of Mr. Lantin has invested all her savings that she had in her life into these precious stones, that she has bought all of these stones with her savings. So Monsieur Lantin is saying it is only another way of investing one's money. So Monsieur Lantin is saying that in this way, she has only invested her money that she had saved. Okay. So Tanisha, you want to read?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
There it is only another way of investing one's money. That day the lunched at
That day he
Lawrence.
lunched. Yes.
That day he lunched at Lawrence and drank wine worth 20 francs a bottle when he hired a carriage and made to tour of the boys.
Bois.
He
It's a French word. Yes.
was he he gazed at the various turnouts
Turnouts.
turnouts with a kind of disdain
Disdain. Yes.
and could hardly refrain from crying out of the
Occupants. Occupants.
occupants, I too am rich, I am worth 200 francs,
200,000 francs. Okay, you stop here.
francs.
You stop here. So now after coming out from the shop selling all the jewelry, now Mr. Lantin is having 143,000 francs with him. So that day he went and lunched at Voisin's. So Voisin's is the name of the place, a restaurant maybe, where Mr. Lantin lunched. All right, lunched means he had his lunch over there and drank wine worth 20 francs a bottle. So now when he is having so much money, so now he is drinking expensive wine worth 20 francs a bottle. Then he hired a carriage. So earlier he was walking, but now since he has all this money, so now he has hired a carriage and made a tour of the Bois. Bois means wood. So here Bois would mean wood market. All right. So he is taking a tour in the marketplace, sitting in a carriage. All right. He gazed at the various turnouts. Turnouts means the people who are walking on the streets. Okay. And he is gazing and looking at them with a kind of disdain. Disdain means dislike. Because earlier you see when he came out on the street, he was jealous of them because they were men of leisure, just walking, doing nothing, enjoying their life. So now, since he has also become rich, so he is saying to them that, see, I too am rich. So now I have also become rich and now I am worth 200,000 francs. So now he is over exaggerating what he received. So he is just trying to show off to the people on the streets that he is also very rich and that he has received 200,000 francs. Okay. Samath, why is your video off? Okay, you can read.
Suddenly he thought of his employer. He drove up to the bureau and entered gaily, saying, "Sir, I have come to resign my position. I have just inherited 300,000 francs." He shook hands with his former colleagues and confided to them some of his projects
For the future, yes.
for the future. He then went off to dine at the Cafe Anglais.
Anglais, yes.
For the first time in his life, he was not bored at the theater and spent the remainder of night in
The
a
remainder
gay
of the night, yes, in a gay frolic.
in a frolic. 6 months afterward, he married again.
Okay. So this finishes our story. So now, when he is roaming in a carriage, he is shouting that I am worth 200,000 francs. Suddenly he remembers about his employer. So he drove up to the bureau. Bureau means office. So he went to his office and entered gaily. Gaily here means happily. He entered happily, saying, "Sir, I have come to resign my position." So now he is thinking that I won't work for entire day now in an office. Now I will enjoy my life since I have become rich. So he is saying that, "Sir, I have come to resign my position. I have just inherited 300,000 francs." So now he is exaggerating the amount even more. On the street, he was saying that I am worth 200,000 francs, and now he is saying I have inherited 300,000 francs. So now he is just exaggerating and showing off that he has become too rich. He shook hands with his former colleagues. So former colleagues means his co-workers who used to be his co-workers, but because now he has resigned, and confided to them. Confided means disclose some information. Confided to them some of his projects for the future. Projects of the future here means what he is planning to do in future, where he is going to invest all that money, will he open up a business. So he is disclosing all those details about his projects to his co-workers or his former co-workers, because now he has resigned. He then went off to dine at Cafe Anglais. Now you see that he has again went to dine off at another restaurant. All right. So now he's trying to enjoy his life. Then the last paragraph, what is saying? That for the first time in his life, he was never bored at the theater. So earlier he used to dislike his wife's habit of going to the theater, but now he himself has gone to the theater and he was not bored because he was so rich that he was enjoying everything that he was doing and he was trying everything new, and spent the remainder of the night in gay frolic. So gay frolic means being happy and cheerful. So he roamed the entire night visiting places and enjoying himself. 6 months afterward, he married again. So after 6 months, he married again. So this finishes our story. So now I will be taking up your doubts. If you have doubts, then please ask.